All right, thank you guys so much for joining us today for this virtual financial literacy workshop on budgeting. Budgeting is a key part of building and maintaining financial strength. No matter what your personal financial situation is, knowing how to create and use a budget will help you better manage your money and get closer to reaching your financial goals. Today, you will learn many skills that will help you manage money and improve your overall understanding of how to achieve and maintain financial health. So let's go over the goals for the workshop here today. Oops, sorry. Okay, so today you will learn how to use a 5-step plan to create and manage a budget, how to understand different types of expenses, including needs and wants, how to set spending and savings goals, and strategies to improve savings, manage your debt, and how to improve and maintain your financial health. Excuse me. Since you may not have all the necessary information with you right now, we're going to use some scenarios, some examples today with a character named Marta to help you learn about and practice using a budget. So you can go home and put those practices to work with your own personal information. Managing and improving your personal finances are achievable goals. This workshop will help teach you some steps and strategies to budget wisely and productively. Budgeting is a big part of personal financial management. Before we dive in and talk about building and using a budget, let's talk about what a budget is and what it's used for. So first, we'll begin with the what, why, and when of budgets. Then in the next section, we'll explore the how. So what is a budget? Well, a budget can mean an estimate of income and expenses for a set period of time. It can also be a financial roadmap or a way to plan for and track your spending and savings. Developing a budget can help you identify ways to reduce your spending and or increase your savings. For example, I budgeted $300 for groceries. So why would you use a budget? Well, a budget helps you see exactly what you're spending money on. It helps you determine how much money you spend on certain things, such as rent and utilities. And it can help you create a savings plan or allocate a certain amount of money for a specific purpose. And it can help identify ways to pay off credit cards or other debt. So when can you use a budget? Well, budgets can be used regularly to help you maintain good financial practices, or they can be used to help you reach a specific goal, such as saving for a new computer or a vacation. So in this workshop, we will examine a budget worksheet. It's a financial plan to help you understand how much you should spend or save each month. Using a budget worksheet and taking action to plan for spending and saving are helpful ways to manage your personal finances and progress towards financial health and strength. So let's go ahead and get started. Creating and using a budget or a financial plan can be helpful in identifying ways to improve your financial situation. It should make you more aware of your financial habits and it may help you find ways to decrease debt and save for the future. Building a budget does not have to be complicated. Okay, there are 5 basic steps, and maybe you're already taking some of these actions, but these are the 5 best steps just to break it down into small pieces. So the first step is to get organized. So ask yourself, do you know where your important financial documents are, such as your tax returns, W-2s, bills, or loan documents? And do you have a system to keep these documents organized so that they're easy to find? Where do you safely store these documents? Have you identified how long to keep them before throwing them away or shredding them? The next step is listing your income. Do you know how much money you make each month after taxes? Your income may come from various sources, such as wages, tips, public assistance, child support, alimony, or Social Security. The third step is listing expenses. Do you know how much money you spend each month? Do you spend most of your money on necessities such as rent, car payments, childcare, insurance, or groceries? Or do you spend more than you should on wants such as meals at restaurants or clothing? Finally, step 4 is listing your savings. Do you have any money left over after you pay your expenses each month? Do you know how much you set aside each month as savings? Do you have any savings accounts or any other methods for savings? And finally, step 5 is listing your debt. Do you have any loans, mortgages, or credit card debt? Do you know how much you owe on each of those? Do you know your interest rate? So when you've collected all your necessary documents, you can fill out the budget worksheet, which is in the participant guide on page 9. So that's there for you once we get through the webinar here today and kind of get a good overview. There's a worksheet in the participant guide for you to use to help you out. But first, let's look at an example of how to understand how to prepare for and make a budget. So we're going to look at an example about Marta. So Marta is a 40-year-old woman who works 2 jobs, one at a grocery store and another as a hostess at a restaurant. She often feels overwhelmed by her large debt. She also has bills paid late in the past, and one of the reasons is that her personal finances are not very organized. So let's see how the 5-step plan can help her better understand her options, behaviors, and solutions. So Marta recognized that her old system of paying bills wasn't working because she often missed due dates and incurred late fees. She decided to develop a system that would work effectively each month to help her stay on top of her bills. She collected all of the paperwork related to her monthly income and expenses so that all of her financial documents would be in one place. She decided to file folders and a box dedicated to this purpose. She found a few recent months of pay stubs, bills, and receipts, and then printed out her credit card and bank statements from her online accounts. So let's identify the documents that Marta might need to make her budget. So remember, she only needs the documents that will help her track her spending and her earning. So if you can see the screen, you'll see a list of various types of documents, or you can also refer to page 3 in the participant guide. So there's a list of lots of different types of documents, from loan statements, credit reports, receipts, credit card offers, internet offers, pay stubs, lots of different types of documents. So the ones that are actually necessary for this purpose would be your credit card statements, bills, your loan statements, and receipts, and those would all show debt and expenses. But she'll also need her pay stubs, her bank statements, and any other social benefit receipts to fully show her income. So some of the items like her passport, that's not necessarily a document that's going to be helpful in this situation. So now Marta has organized all of her financial paperwork and separated it and labeled folders. So she's completed step 1. She's organized all her financial documents that she needs to continue steps 2 through 5 of the budgeting plan. So let's look at how Marta made a budget. So you can see on the screen, or else you can turn to page 4 in your participant guide, Marta's sample budget. So this will help you learn how to build, use, and manage a personalized budget. After each step, you can think about how you might do this with your own situation, and then you can use the worksheet on page 9 of the participant guide to do this for yourself. So we just learned how Marta completed step 1, getting organized, of the 5-step process. Next, we will examine the remaining budgeting steps and learn how Marta used them. So step 2 is listing income. So income refers to the amount of money earned from almost any source, such as a paycheck, Social Security, or other social benefits. So if your paychecks aren't consistent, it's best to average them over a monthly period. That's the best way to do this, since your budget is going to be based monthly. So if your income is not consistent, it's best to just take an average of your income. So in Marta's case, she gets paid every 2 weeks. She doesn't have any other forms of income. So Marta's strategy for tracking her income was to simply add up her pay stubs to determine her monthly income, and she listed that in the income column. So she gets paid twice a month, $1,000 each time. So her income, her monthly income, is $2,000. Step 3 is to list expenses. So expenses refers to the amount of money spent each month on bills and other items. So it's helpful to think of expenses in 2 categories: needs and wants. So needs are things that are necessary for your health and well-being, like electricity, transportation, mortgage payments or your rent payment, groceries, childcare, etc. Wants are things that you can live without, such as dining out, beauty products, or lottery tickets. Sometimes a want can turn into a need, though. For example, a new winter coat might be a want, but if your child outgrows their coat, then a new one can become a need. So you'll see either on page 4 or on the slide here that Marta's wants include coffee, dining out, entertainment, clothing, and beauty products. Her needs now include rent, groceries, utilities, car payments, and car insurance. Marta came up with a strategy for determining her expenses or her needs. She used her receipts, bills, and her credit card statements to determine how much she spent the previous month on needs, and she listed them in the appropriate spaces on the worksheet. You can see that the total dollar amount of Marta's needs is $1,220. And her wants total $210. So Marta's total expenses, or her needs plus her wants, total $1,430. That's just the needs and the wants added together. Now, disposable income is the amount of income left over after paying expenses. Disposable income is money available to spend on wants. It's to put in a savings account or to pay down debt. It is possible for the amount of disposable income to be zero, or it may be negative. Creating and using a budget can help you find ways to make this amount positive or more in the future. So what is Marta's disposable income after paying for her needs? Well, her total income is $2,000 and her total needs are $1,220. So her disposable income after paying for her needs is $780. So that's what she can spend on wants, put into savings, or to help pay down her debt. So what is Marta's disposable income after paying for her wants? Well, she had $780 and her wants total $210. So that leaves $570 after paying for her needs and her wants. Savings refers to money that is put aside for safekeeping, a specific savings purpose, or an emergency fund. Depositing money into an interest-earning savings account at a financial institution is one way to increase savings even further. So after Marta pays her bills, her needs, and spends money on her wants, she has $570 of disposable income left over. Marta has been putting away $100 each month into an interest-earning savings account. So that will really add up, because over 12 months, Marta is going to have $1,200 plus interest in her savings account. So how much will Marta have after she contributes this amount to her savings? Well, she had $570, and after contributing her $100 to her savings account, that leaves $470. So the next step is to list debt. Debt is any amount owed to a person or an institution. Examples of debt include car loans, credit card balances, or money borrowed from friends or relatives. So earlier, Marta indicated that she pays $200 toward her credit card debt and $100 toward her student loans. Keep in mind that the loans and debt usually have minimum monthly payments that you have to pay. So we'll go into more detail about debt repayment later on. So after she pays her monthly debts, Marta has $170 of disposable income left. So what are some possible uses for this $170? Well, she could put the full amount into her savings account. She could put the full amount toward credit card or student loan payments. She could spend the full amount on wants, right? Or she can apply the money toward a combination of savings, debt payment, and wants. Later, we will provide guidance on how to reduce debt, but first, we will examine how Marta could better allocate funds for each category to help her be more effective with her money and improve her financial situation. So far, we have seen how Marta used the 5-step process to get her current financial snapshot. Now we will look at some ways that Marta can adjust her budget and improve her financial situation. So now that we have an idea of what Marta spends money on and how much she saves, how much debt she owes, and how much disposable income she has left over, we can introduce guidelines to help her improve her budget. There are many ways to help Marta, but we are going to examine 2 different ways. One is the 50-30-20 rule, and the other is the categories method. So the 50-30-20 rule is one recommendation that states you should spend no more than 50% of your income on needs, 30% on wants, and 20% on savings or debt repayment. So let's use this to examine Marta's financial situation. Before we get into this activity though, let's make sure we understand the terms that we are about to use. So you may have heard the terms gross income and net income. So gross income refers to the amount of money you earn before taxes, before anything is taken out of your check. Maybe it's benefits, taxes, that type of thing. Net income is your take-home pay. It's the actual amount of your paycheck. The money, so money is taken out of each paycheck, right, for taxes and that sort of thing. And if you have benefits at your workplace, then your benefits would be taken out of your paycheck as well. So the money left over, the actual amount on your paycheck, is your net income. So if you, again, looking at page 4 in the participant guide, remember, Marta takes home $2,000 after taxes. This is her net income. So according to the 50-30-20 rule, Marta can spend half of that on her needs, which is $1,000. She can spend 30%, right, on her wants, and that totals $600. And she can spend $400 or 20% on savings and or debt repayment. So let's see how Marta's doing according to this rule. So 50% can be spent on needs. That's $1,000. Well, Marta is currently spending a little bit more than that. She's spending $1,220 on needs. So some things Marta can consider are maybe moving somewhere with lower rent, or consider alternative grocery options to help her reduce costs. Maybe explore public transportation or shop around for less expensive car insurance. So according to this rule, it states you can spend 30% on wants. We said that was $600 for Marta. And she's currently spending only $210. So she is doing really great in this category. She may consider using that extra money to save more or to pay off more of her debts each month. And finally, 20% can be used for debt repayment, debt payments or savings. And for Marta, that's $400. And she is currently hitting this target by making $300 in debt payment and putting $100 into savings. So as you can see, the 50-30-20 rule may identify some areas where you should reduce spending, but it may also help you find additional money in your budget to put towards savings and debt repayment goals. Let's look at another way to create a personalized budget. This is a little bit more specific. This is called the categories method. So it's just another tool in the toolbox here. So if you can turn to page 5 of the participant guide. So this method, like I said, it's more detailed. It's a breakdown of percentages and categories, and it allocates income according to the detailed needs of a person or a household. So by thinking about specific categories that you spend money on each month, you can predict how much of your income will be left over for savings and make adjustments to meet your goals. Here's an example of the categories budget. So it says 30% for housing, 10% for utilities or other housing expenditures such as insurance, 10% for groceries, 10% for transportation, including your car loan, 10% for debt repayment, student loans or credit cards, 10% for savings, and then 5% for dining out, 5% for car insurance and miscellaneous auto expenses, 5% for clothing, and 5% for entertainment. So using this method, let's see how Marta is doing. So remember, her income is $2,000. So using the percentages stated above, housing was 30%, and for Marta, that's $600, and she is currently spending $600 on housing. 10% on utilities, for Marta, that is $200, and she's currently spending $100. Groceries, 10% for Marta, that's $200 for groceries, and she is currently spending $200 for groceries, so doing good there. Dining out, 5% for Marta, that's $100, and right now she is spending only $70. Transportation allows for 10% of your income. For Marta, that's $200, and that is what she is spending every month, $200. Car insurance is 5%. For Marta, that's $100. She's currently spending $120. Debt repayment, it says 10% can be spent on this category. For Marta, that's $200, and she is currently spending $300. For savings, 10% for Marta, this is $200, and she's currently spending $100. For clothing, it says 5%. For Marta, that's $100, and that is what she's spending every month. And finally, for entertainment, 5%, that's $100 for Marta, and she's currently spending $40. So lots of numbers I just threw out there, I know, but it's just another example, another method for you to use. Now, these categories can be easily adjusted to suit your personal needs. For example, you may have childcare or educational expenses, or you might not have any debt. So your numbers will probably be different. So these two rules, the 50-30-20 rule and the categories methods, are two ways to help you create a personalized budget. Next, we will examine goal setting as a way for you to personalize your budget even further. So an important part of any budget is your personal financial goals. While the budget worksheet is a tool that documents spending, expenses, and savings, goals are typically always the guiding force behind them. Changing money habits can be challenging, and one way to make that easier and more lasting is to have personal, meaningful goals to help motivate you. Setting goals helps you achieve financial strength. Goals don't just happen by chance. They happen through careful planning, patience, and commitment. Having goals helps you be more mindful of your spending and control bad habits such as impulse buying, because the goals are a reminder of your reason for savings. If you take time to set financial goals that are meaningful to you, maybe you're saving for a new computer or a vacation, then the small sacrifice of skipping the coffee shop on the way to work might become a little bit easier. With stronger motivations, you will save money not just because your budget indicates that you should, but because you will have a specific goal in mind or something that you really want. So goals typically fall into three categories: short, medium, and long-term goals. Examples for these include things like saving for items such as birthday gifts, a new car, or a down payment on a new home. Most of your goals will be personal to your lifestyle and your preferences, but we recommend including a couple of important goals. The first one is to create an emergency fund. Emergencies always happen. You can't plan on them, you can't predict them, but they always happen. The next thing is to pay down debt if you have it. Like I said, these emergencies can happen anytime. They include things such as car repairs, medical bills, maybe you lose your job or your partner loses their job. It's always wise to have some extra savings set aside specifically for these emergencies. So Marta wasn't spending a lot on wants, but once she created her short-term, medium, and long-term goals, she found it was even more important to reduce expenses and increase her savings. So here were Marta's goals. Her short-term goals were to save for a friend's wedding present, buy a new phone, and to pay off her credit cards. Her medium-term goals were to pay off student loans, buy a new computer, and to take a vacation. Her long-term goal included saving for a down payment on a house and buying a new car. So when you have a moment, I encourage you to think about some of your own goals, your short, medium, and long-term goals. And there's a spot for you in the participant guide on page 10 for you to write those down. You can put how much you need for each one of those goals. So there's a resource for you in the participant guide for that. When you see your goals written down, they can be both overwhelming and inspiring. Having financial goals can help you plan by adjusting some of your current spending and savings habits. Sorry. Okay, so goals can motivate you to change your mindset, your behaviors, and your habits. But if you have a lot of debt, your goals can also be a little bit discouraging. How can you even think about saving for the future when you currently owe so much money? While debt can seem overwhelming at times, paying off debt and staying out of debt are achievable goals. So we're going to examine two methods for you to help you become debt-free. The first step in paying off debt is having a realistic picture of your current financial situation. So let's look at two different strategies to pay down that debt. One is called the ladder method, and two is called the snowball method. So with the ladder method, what you would do is you would list out all of your debts from highest interest rate to lowest interest rate. So you list the debt, the interest rate, and the amount that you owe. So you determine the percentage of income that you are going to allocate to your debt payments when you create your budget. Ensure that your monthly minimum payments are met for each debt category. And after all your expenses are covered, consider using some of the disposable income you have left over to pay off the loan with the highest interest rate first. So you can refer to page 6 in your participant guide. And it has Marta's debt listed here in the participant guide. So you'll see her debt listed in order from highest interest rate to lowest interest rate. She's got two credit cards, one at 23% interest, one at 18% interest, and then her student loans are at 12% interest. So let's see here. Using the ladder method, which debt should she pay off first? Well, we said we're going to pay off the ones with the highest interest rate first with the ladder method. So Marta would pay off credit card A first. It has a 23% interest rate and her balance is $400. So she could she has $170 left over, remember, and she could put all of that towards that credit card. So another method is called the snowball method. And that is listing all of your debts by balance. So from smallest balance to the largest balance. Determine the percentage of the income that you're allocating towards debt payments when you create your budget. You make sure that your minimum payments are met for all of your debt categories. And then after all your expenses are covered, you summer all of that income to pay off the smallest balance first. So looking at Marta's debt, she has credit card B has the smallest balance at $300. So after paying the minimum monthly payment for her all of her credit cards and her student loan debt, she could put her remaining $170 towards the balance on that card. So which do you think would be best for Marta's situation? Well, the snowball method may help Marta feel like she's making progress because she could potentially pay off one entire credit card in 1 to 3 months. However, she is paying more for credit card A. That was the credit card with the highest interest rate. So using the latter method would help her save more money in the long run. Like many new people starting, like many people starting a new project, Marta feels committed to and excited about her financial planning. But as with any project, sometimes it's hard to maintain momentum. So let's look at some ways to help encourage some healthy habits. The key to finding success in personal finance is having daily, weekly, and monthly check-ins to remain connected to your goals and to stay on top of your habits. So once you've created your budget, you've personalized it to your lifestyle, you've set your goals, and you've become mindful of your money habits, it's essential that you have regular check-ins. You can do this by keeping on top of your receipts, bills, credit card statements, bank statements, your debt totals, and you should be better positioned to improve your overall financial situation. Compiling daily receipts, if any, and totaling them along with any other bills each week can make tracking your monthly income and expenses more efficient. You should also review all of your bills and credit card statements to make sure there are no mystery purchases or mistakes. After writing down your goals and making plans to accomplish them, you may need some help. So don't be afraid to seek some advice from a financial institution or a financial advisor about certain products or services that can help you meet your goals, such as retirement. Others may contact not-for-profit credit counseling agencies to help them regain control of their financial situation. I'd like to take a minute to tell you guys, we partner with a nonprofit agency for this situation. It's called GreenPath Financial Wellness, and GreenPath provides a whole host of services. Maybe it's debt counseling, or you want to buy a house and you don't know how to get there, help creating a budget, that sort of thing. Most of their counseling services are free, and it is a great resource for you. So that is, you can contact them. We can help you get connected with them, of course, or you can visit the website, greenpathref.com. We'll put that in the chat section for you, and you can reach out to them on your own. It's free, it's confidential, and something that I encourage everybody to take advantage of. The biggest thing to remember is to don't feel like you're making sacrifices when you budget. Instead, think of it as a way to keep on track to meet your goals and earn the things that you really want. So today, we covered many steps, tools, and strategies and behaviors that can positively affect your personal finances if used regularly. I encourage you to take some time to use these tools to improve and maintain your own finances. Improving your personal financial situation is achievable with some thoughtful attention, regular maintenance, and improved habits. Once you get a clear and honest picture of where your money is being spent by using a budget, you can take steps to make changes such as reducing unnecessary expenses or increasing savings. Setting personal, meaningful goals to help you stay motivated and on track in both the short and the long term. Regular check ins and seeking help from professionals are additional ways to become more informed and aware of your financial situation and options. Okay, so that concludes the formal section of our webinar today. We're going to go ahead and stop recording now.